Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors. Shalom, y'all. So let's begin. Welcome to the free Astro Theology course. I am Dr. Yasafa. So this is our textbook, all right? The Astrology of the Old Testament, or the Lost Word Regained, all right, y'all? Or the Lost Word Regained. So these are equivalent statements. The Astrology of the Old Testament means the same thing as the Lost Word Regained. Of course, hold on a second, y'all. Let me see something. I've tried to get rid of this wide angle. I got rid of it once before, but somehow the settings changed and now it's back to the wide angle. So I think we're on page 198 or 99. Hold on a second. Feels like I've been away for a long time. I think it's only been a couple of days, but it feels like a long time. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's pick up on page 198, the first paragraph, toward the bottom of the paragraph. Do y'all hear music? Let me know if y'all hear music in the background. Put a 1, or just type in "we hear music" or "I hear music" if you hear music. I don't want the video to get taken down. Let me see. You know what? Yeah, I want to start on page 197. We covered this in the last class, toward the end of the last class, but I want to do this again. I want to open this class with this, okay? In fact, let's start on page 197 at the second paragraph. So here we go. And now, having brought the sun sun, or son, to merge into the Virgin. Now, take a look at where my fingers are. Does everyone see that? So the son is in fact the sun, and the sun is in fact the son. So when you look on my community page, or if you can search it and find it fairly easily, son is the sun, and you'll see this in German. I believe it's the German and Dutch languages. Okay, you'll see the spelling in the German and Dutch languages, but the English over in the Americas changed the spelling to son, to hide that they're talking about the sun. Does everyone understand that? Okay, so if you want more information, check my community post. Look up the etymological meaning of son, and you'll find it. Now that you're aware of it, you'll find it. But I want you to see that the sun is the son, and now having brought the sun or son, sun. So a son is supposed to be what? The light of his father's eye, or however the saying goes. Right? The sun is the light of the world. Right? The sun, literally the sun in the sky, is the light of the world. And a man's son, some sons have a womb, others don't. A man's son or a woman's son is the light of the world. Okay? Or the light of his life, or her life. Okay, y'all? So having brought the sun to merge into the Virgin, this is Virgo. So imagine that celestially. Imagine the sun, the sun, is merging into the constellation of the Virgo. Like that. Okay? So the sun would be in Virgo. Let's look at it like that. And you have clearly explained, let me repeat, you have clearly explained to you the celebrated Sphinx of Egypt. So what is he talking about? He's talking about Virgo being the first zodiac sign and Leo being the last. So when you look at the Sphinx in Egypt, Virgo was the first zodiac sign. The second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and the 12th would be Leo. So it is memorializing the zodiac, the solar zodiac. This is the author's point. This is the author's point. Okay, so this was at a time, this was at an era of time. Well, actually, the age of Virgo, right? It would have been the age of Virgo, when the sun is rising on the horizon in the east at 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. And it would have done that for some 2,300 years, or however long a zodiacal age is. Okay, y'all? So now let's continue. Which tells, under the shadow of the pyramid, or pyramid, right? Which is the great central fire. So now listen, the great central fire is the fire behind the fire. The great central fire is the sun behind the sun, or in other words, the true sun. Okay? But the author here is referencing the Great Pyramid as the great central fire. Okay, y'all? So our ancient ancestors said that the sun there's a sun behind the sun. Okay? Or in other words, there's a concentration of cosmic energy that's focused, or the focal point of it is what we call the sun. Okay? So that's the real source of energy. It's not the sun itself. Okay? But anyway, let's keep going. So under the shadow of the pyramid, or great central fire of the fall, of the ripening harvest. Now this is critically important. It sounds like nothing on the surface, but what it's actually talking about are the two pillars, or the two covenants. So the covenant that's in the fall is the covenant of grace. This is the covenant, or the time of the harvest. And this is where you get the remix of Christianity, talking about grace. Okay, so what happens under the covenant of grace? You don't have to do any work. Mama Earth, the great mother, Mother Nature, brings forth her fruit in a super abundance. Okay, all you have to do is go out and get it. That's all you have to do, is go out and get it. and figure out, you need to figure out when that time is coming, okay? So that you can plan your work and work your plan so that you'll be prepared and so that you can plant and reap a harvest, okay? So of course, Mother Nature is the great Mother Nature, who is Typhoon. This is the mother of the Great Bear, which today is called the constellation of the Great Bear, which today is called the Big Dipper. The 7 stars that form a Big Dipper. Now there's a Little Dipper too, right? So it's the Big Dipper in the northern region of in the northern region of space, the most northern region of space, okay? Right in the area of the Polaris, the North Pole star. Okay, y'all? Excuse me. All right, so that's what's happening. This is the covenant of grace. So why is it important? Well, because it's birthright. The covenant of grace is the birthright. So this would be the representative or symbolized as the fall equinox, September 22nd or thereabout. Then there's a covenant of labor, the covenant of work, which is spring, the spring equinox, which is March 22nd, which just so happens to be Aries, which just so happens to be the Lamb of God, which just so happens to be J.C. Christ figure, who is the Lamb of God, who got you out here in a situation of bondage. The covenant of work, where you have to struggle. You need to struggle, right? What's the scripture say? The sweat of your brow, get out there and work, okay? And you have no birthright. So do y'all see it? These are the 2 pillars. So when you see some of these Hebrew Israelite organizations or Masonic organizations and they have the 2 columns, this is what it's symbolic of, the 2 covenants or the 2 equinoctial points. All right, it's hidden, but now you know. Now you know. All right. And so we Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, those of us who are sprung from the soil, autochthonous Moors, we are the covenant of grace, okay? The covenant of grace, having our origin from the Great Bear, all right? Also referred to as the thigh of the Great Bear. Is it clear? All right, so all sevens have their origin in the Great Bear. 7 days in a week, all 7s, okay? The 7 Hermetic Laws, all 7s, all right? That's why 7 is such a prominent number. Anyway, let's keep it going. All right. So we're talking about the Great Pyramid, the Great Central Fire of the fall, of the ripening harvest, of the end of the day, of the approaching feast of unleavened bread. That's right. All of the Hebraic feast days are astrological, or they are aligned with the seasons. Okay, y'all? Approaching the feast of unleavened bread. If I remember correctly, I think August marks the harvest of one of the grains. I don't remember which grain it is at the moment, but it'll come to me. Okay. Okay, so the Feast of Unleavened Bread, of Adam and Eve. So of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, and the wedding of fire and earth, and Leo and Scorpio, or spiritual and natural. Okay? Listen, he that hath eyes to see, let him see. If you got eyes to see and you're under the JC spell, you will not perceive. Although having eyes to see, you will never perceive. Although having ears to hear, you will never understand. JC tells you why. I mean, why he's telling you why he spoke to the people in parables. He says, so that they can never repent. So that they can never repent. So that you can never turn around. Okay? When you think about it, if you got eyes to see but you can't perceive, how are you going to turn around? How are you going to repent? You don't even see that what you're doing is wrong. Everybody see it? You don't even understand that what you're being told and taught is wrong. You're totally disconnected from nature. And then some people will say, oh, that well, nature doesn't matter. Well, if nature doesn't matter, which is kind of idiotic to think that way, if nature doesn't matter, you wouldn't be able to drive your car or ride your bike or breathe if nature didn't matter. Okay? That's like that's really nonsense to say nature doesn't matter. Nature governs everything. And the laws of nature are immutable. They don't change. Okay? You may think you're escaping, but you won't escape. It'll catch up with you. All right? So although having eyes, so those who have eyes to see, let him see. Here unites. This is the summer solstice, the solstitial line. This is the sun at its highest elevation in the north on June 22nd, and the sun at its lowest elevation in the south. These are the celestial poles. Okay, north and south. Okay? Solstitial line. So here unites the solstitial line, north and south, and then the equinoctial line, east and west. Okay, in other words, March 22nd, which is Aries, and September 22nd, which is Libra. Y'all see it? The covenant of work, the covenant of labor, no birthright, and then the covenant of grace, birthright, full access and enjoyment of your birthright. So they unite to form the four corners, okay? North, south, east, and west. Different from the Ta cross. All right, but that's another story. We'll go into that. But I've gone over that so many times, okay, y'all? So the fifth sign, Scorpio, the fifth sign, Virgo, or the celestial virgin, and as the Ceres, the deity Ceres of the Greeks, the favorite house of Mercury, the messenger Messiah, Rab, or the wandering teacher, who is never more than 30 degrees from the sun sun in aspect, and is the house of study and learning and knowledge of all kinds, and represents a garden, a place where all manner of fruit and edibles are kept, where all vitalizing things or refreshing to nature. So in this sign, or on the 13th degree of north latitude between the tropics, was the Garden of Eden. Did y'all see it said north latitude? So what is this talking about? This is actually talking about the Great Mother Typhoon. This traces back to the Great Mother Typhoon. In other words, it's a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon and her only begotten son. who is S-U-T, Sut. So we're tracing back. Everything traces back to the Moors, to the Sabian Moors. Does everyone see it? So what I'm trying to say is that Virgo is a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. They just remixed it, just like they did in the 80s and the 90s. They were remixing all of the old songs, right? Everybody loved those old songs from the 60s and 70s, right? And so when they remixed them, they're already in everybody's memories and hearts. So they were able to sell a lot of records. Okay, they just gave the people a different version of the music that they already loved. And this is what the Solarites, those who conquered our ancestors, let's use religious terminology. I think people will understand it better. The Solarites are those people who conquered our ancestors, the Sabian Moors, who are sometimes referred to as the Typhonians. Okay, they present our ancestors as being these religious people, worshiping stars and all kind of foolishness. Okay, so they conquered the Typhonians, who are the Sabian Moors. Okay, that's from a religious, dogmatic presentation of the information. But the fact of the matter is that they did not worship. It wasn't religious worship. It was science. See, all of us had a scientific mind. And you know what really impressed me when I went to India? I was there for, I forget how many months I was there. But what impressed me about India is that they told me in India, everybody studies engineering. Everybody studies the hard sciences, the whole country. So they still have that. But in the Americas, we don't have it. Right? Many people told me that in India, everybody studies physics, they study computer programming, everybody, the whole country, they study engineering, the whole country. Why? Because it's a tradition. But that tradition was broken with us, all right? So this Typhonianism, religious presentation of our ancestors, no, that's not it at all. Everybody studied the sciences. That's how we dealt. Okay, we dealt with nature, natural phenomena, and natural law, which is to do no harm. Don't harm anyone and don't injure anyone, including yourself, right? Don't injure yourself, especially if you have heirs, right? Because if you injure yourself, now you injure your heirs. If you harm yourself, you harm those who you are responsible for, right, y'all? So this is masked, covering over and remixing the same story. Okay, the Great Mother Typhoon and her firstborn son. The firstborn son, Escheat, in the solar zodiac projection is remixed into Mercury. All right, and in mythology, they remix Mercury into Thoth. Okay, which is where we get the word Dios, etc., etc., etc. Deity, divine, diva, and then ultimately they remix that into God. Okay, y'all. So let's do it again. The fifth sign is Virgo, the celestial virgin. The messenger Messiah, see, we're still dealing celestially. The messenger Messiah, in religion, this is remixed into JC, the Christ figure, or any of the solar religion messiahs. y'all? Now go back to the solstitial line. The sun, right? The sun, the SONJC, takes on the title of Christ at the summer solstice. The sun takes on the title of the devil at the winter solstice. Okay, y'all? What's interesting about that? Remember, north is north and south is south. North is north and south is south. In the north, we have the circle 7. We have the 7 constellations that are revolving around the pole star. Okay? Circling around the pole star, we have circle 7. The Great Bear, which is made up of 7 constellations. It was the first constellation, according to our ancestors, to revolve around the pole star. Hence we have circle 7. Okay, y'all? So who's the originator of the Great Bear and the pole star? Well, the Great Mother Typhoon in the north. Y'all see it? So the sun takes on the title of Christ when it reaches its highest elevation in the north, which is nowhere near as high in elevation as the pole star or the constellations that are rotating or revolving around the pole star. But the sun takes on the title of Christ. Y'all see it? Now, that line that you draw directly below, where the sun becomes the devil, and you see this in the Bible, it's plain, but you got to remember, those of you who drank that Christ juice and who still are drinking that Christ juice, the Kool-Aid, you don't see it. Because the devil and Satan in Scripture are the same. All right? The same. I've covered this a million times. It's not my information. Y'all can get it out of the devil's pulpit. You can watch the videos that I've done. All right? But you can certainly read it for yourself in detail in the devil's pulpit by Robert Taylor. Okay, the book was published in 1857 from a series of lectures that the Reverend Robert Taylor gave exposing Catholicism and the Christian Church as being worship of the stars, astrotheology. So the sun takes on the title of devil in the south when the sun reaches its highest elevation, or let's say its lowest elevation, okay, to not be confusing. In the south, all right, in the south. And they call it the place of what? Dense darkness, the bottomless pit, right? Dense darkness, the bottomless pit. This is what they teach you in Christianity. But the interesting thing about that is that the southern celestial pole region is the area where principles come from. So for us autochthonous people, the principles are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which can be reduced down to don't harm anyone, don't injure anyone. Okay, y'all see it? Do y'all see the remix and the perversion happening here that the Solarites are those who ushered in the solar zodiac projection and made it the focus or the mindset of the people, of the masses all around the world. The mindset of our ancient ancestors was Circle 7 and the Clock of Destiny. Okay, Circle 7 and the Clock of Destiny. This is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So the Clock of Destiny is the Great Bear being the minute hand, and Sirius, the dog star, in the south, southern celestial pole region being the hour hand. And our ancestors drew a boundary, a circular boundary around that which was boundless, which is space, the celestial abyss. This is where we get clock of destiny. Okay, y'all heard? This is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Nature, science, and don't harm anyone. Don't injure anyone. The Solarites came in and destroyed our ancestors and that mindset. And they thought they had gotten rid of it forever. They brought in the mindset of keeping time by the sun sun, where our ancestors kept time by the stars. All right? And we interpreted reality by nature. Okay? By nature of the whole cosmos. Whereas the Solarites interpret time just by the sun. All right? And they view reality just by the seasons of the year. And then they hide natural law, which is to do no harm. They hide it from the masses. And they teach them dogmatic religion. Dogmatic religious beliefs, which are often, or most of the time, out of harmony with nature, out of harmony with natural law. In other words, people are harming each other, injuring each other. So therefore, the Hermetic law of cause and effect will be implemented against you. And so therefore, nature itself will work against you as a people. As a people, right? Well, why? Because we're dealing with consciousness. We'll work against you not just as an individual, but as a people. All right, y'all? So this is the current mindset, dogmatic religion. All right, so let's get back to it. So the messenger, Messiah, Arab, A-RAB, or the wandering teacher, who was never more than 30 degrees from the sun in aspect. So you see 30 degrees, right? 30 degrees, that's already should be telling you that it's Masonic. Jesus began his ministry at 30 degrees. It lasted for 3 years, which gives you 33 degrees. 1 month, a day equals 30 degrees. So 1 month is 30 days. The sun itself is 3 degrees. So this is where we get the age of Jesus. 30 plus 3, right? 33 degrees. Okay, y'all? So he continues, the author continues. He is never more than 30 degrees from the sun in aspect, and in the house of study and learning. So Mercury in the house of study and learning. Mercury in mythology is thought. Thought is shown with a writing table and a pen, right? And he's the messenger between the gods and man. So he's said to have taken note of 40,000 volumes of law. All right? 40,000 volumes of law. So he's writing and he has a pen. And I often wonder in that mythology, is this pen the Hollywood, the magic wand? Okay? The magic wand, right? And the gods give him the dogmatic religious belief doctrines. And he passes them on to the solar religions through the so-called Messiah, of course, through the priesthood, right? And they speak it and write it to the masses, but the people, although having eyes to see, they can't perceive the BS. Although having ears to hear the sermons, they don't understand the BS in the sermons. In other words, they don't understand that they have perverted the celestial ship of the north, the circumpolar zodiac, and they have perverted natural law in nature. Do y'all see it? All right, so the author continues. So it is the house of study and learning and knowledge of all kinds, and represents a garden. So this garden is the Garden of Eden in the celestial North Pole. At the top of the celestial North Pole is a Garden of Eden, and we get this information out of the Celestial Ship of the North, Volume 1. Okay, y'all? All right. Which is also Mount Zion. Which is also Mount Zion. Which is also the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. The beginning of all time, of all movement, and all life. Which is why it's called the Great Mother. Everybody see that? All right. So, I've went into this in detail before, but here's the book, y'all. If y'all want to go look in it yourself, The Celestial Ship of the North by Emma Valencia Straton, published in 1927. All right. So let's keep on tracing this back, decoding. Let's continue decoding. It says here, so we're talking about the garden, a place where all manner of fruit and edibles are kept. So the fruit and edible of all manner, of course, this is talking about the harvest, right? But this is talking about the Great Mother, who is seen. I need to show y'all. Let me show y'all. Let me find it. I'm going to show you where the Great Mother is shown to be bearing fruit of all kind. Okay, on her body. Why? Because she's Mother Nature, okay? Give me 1 second. Let me try to find it really quickly. You know, in Asia, they play that really, really fast music. I don't know what you call it, but it makes your heart beat fast. I don't see how these people listen to that stuff. That kind of music, it make me nervous. I don't see how people enjoy it. Hold on, y'all. They're playing it now. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but here we are on page 10. On page 10. Y'all take a look at that. So pause it on the replay. I'm going to hold it here for a minute. Read that first paragraph, okay? Read that first paragraph. This is not the only instance where this is mentioned. So let me read it. Y'all can pause it on the replay and read it if you didn't finish it. At a very much later period in the Mysteries, Apollos presents a portrait of the Supreme Goddess Mother as she was unveiled to the initiates. So the initiates would be the secret society members, right? Quote unquote. The Mother Earth, flower crowned, with her bounteous bosomed body full of fruit. The mother heaven and her black mantle, lustrous with moon and stars. And then it goes on and on and on. Do you see that? I'm trying to show you that Virgo is a remix. Virgo is a remix of the Great Mother Typhoon. Okay, so when we read about Virgo and astrology and astrotheology, we can trace it back. And we are recovering the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, okay, y'all? This is not to say that the solar zodiac projection is wrong. I'm talking about the 12 zodiac signs and all. I'm not saying that at all. Because I don't know if our ancestors recognized that or not. But what I can tell you that it's been edited. Libra wasn't there. Aries wasn't there. Okay, but did it have a role in Clock of Destiny, Circle 7? I don't know. In other words, did they just take that and repurpose it? Take the constellations, the zodiac signs, and repurpose it and hid everything else? I don't know. But I'm trying to show you what is known. Okay, the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers is Circle 7 and Clock of Destiny, the circumpolar zodiac projection. Period. The focus was on reckoning time, reckoning reality, based on the stars, based on nature, and natural law, which is not harming or injuring anyone. Okay, that's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Okay, it is at the poles. And C.M. Bay tells us that in volume 2. In volume 2 of his Clock of Destiny, page 38. Right? When the Moor stands up from his laying down on his side in the dead state, when the Moor stands up, his head becomes representative of the North Pole, the North Celestial Pole. Well, we know the North Celestial Pole is Circle 7, right? The Great Mother who gave birth to the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, which is made up of 7 stars in the North Celestial Pole region. And there are 7 constellations there. And the first rotation or revolution around the pole star that the Great Bear made marked the beginning of time. Circle 7. All right? So on and so forth. So there's so much more. Anyway, here we have here on page 8 with reference to the Great Mother. She's called Great Mother Nature. Okay, so they remixed this. Great Mother Nature, they remixed that from the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. See, we said the Great Mother Nature. They just say Mother Nature. All right? The Great Mother Nature as in the Great Mother Typhoon, as in the first mother, the great as in the first mother, okay? Y'all? The Great Mother as in the celestial ship of the North or the ship of light. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, so this garden, a place where all manner of fruit and edibles are kept. So I need to show you about the Garden of Eden. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me find it here. So everyone should be able to see They did nothing, no original work. Give me 1 second, y'all. No original work, they just remixed everything. Man, that music is extremely irritating. I think I found it. So I found Mount Meru. Give me 1 second. We'll come back to that. If you have been following my work, then you already know what I'm talking about. This is not new to you. Where is the Garden of Eden? Hold on, y'all. Man, this is extremely irritating.
Em hỏi chị cái này, nghe thấy không? Sao kỳ vậy? Đi làm à? Em hỏi này, bình thường ấy thì chị kèm, ngày xưa chị kèm giảm, chị kèm PT ấy.
1 second, y'all.
Một người 3 triệu đúng không?
Here we are, page 22. The two northern constellations of the bears, called the primal pair. Okay, so the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper are called the primal two. Okay, so the Great Bear and the Little Bear, or the Lesser Bear, the primal pair, became humanized. Listen, y'all, became humanized as the parents of our race, and were placed in the Garden of Eden, called the Mount, in which stood the tree or the pole. The fall was introduced when the earlier stars as timekeepers were found not to be keeping correct time. So what they're talking about is the alibi, the excuse that the Solarites used to conquer and destroy our ancient ancestors, who were holding tight to the mindset of their ancient foremothers and forefathers. So I'm in the area of where I need to be. So this is page 22. Read that bottom paragraph. Also take note that it says that Adam and Eve are a remix of the Great Bear and the Lesser Bear. But guess who's the Lesser Bear? The Lesser Bear is Adam. Eve is the Great Bear. Okay, y'all? Keep in mind, as above, so below. As below, so above, the Hermetic Law of Correspondence. Okay, y'all? So let's keep it going.
1
second.
Em đang bảo
This book is such a phenomenal book. The Celestial Ship of the North. Y'all should really get a copy of it and read it. Come to these classes every day and read it. I'm trying to find where it specifically says the location of the Garden of Eden. It specifically says the Garden of Eden is in the north.
Người ta đang khảo sát cũng phải đến phải đến chắc là năm 70 em đoán là thì lửa đã tắt.
Well, let me share this with y'all. On page 21, I talked about the clock of destiny. So let me show this to you. We'll continue going with the Garden of Eden, but let me show you this while I got it, since I talked about it. Read that top paragraph. Hold on. Read the first paragraph, y'all, at the top. Let's see. Everybody see that? If you want, you can see my margin notes. Take a screenshot if you're interested in my margin notes. All right. Okay, y'all. You're gonna have to pause it on the replay. I wanna begin reading now and discussing. Okay. This is a very extremely important paragraph. All right, so let's do it. The 7 stars of the Great Bear, this is the Big Dipper today, y'all, were also called the quote-unquote bringers forth, i.e. of perennial time. That's saying that the Great Bear brought forth time, okay? And creations. So we know that there is no such thing as a creation. That's religion. There are reformations of consciousness, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed into something else, okay? So let's correct that. So the Great Bear is the beginning, the location, or is the cause of the beginning of the time, and transformations of conscious beings from one form into another. Creators of the first form taken in space, quote unquote, thus time and space were figured as a circle. Thus time and space were figured as a circle. How? Here's how, listen. By placing a boundary around that which was boundless. Circle 7. Thus time and space were figured as a circle by placing a boundary around that which was boundless. Okay, y'all? The 7 stars of the Great Bear in the north, our ancestors drew a circle around that which is boundless. We had circle 7. Thus time and space were figured as a circle by placing a boundary around that which was boundless. In ancient times, the body of this constellation was nearer the pole, the North Pole. Do y'all hear that? In ancient times, the body of the Great Bear was nearer the North Pole. That's the North Celestial Pole. And as the tail of the Great Bear moved around the North Pole, as the tail moved around the North Pole, it was said to strongly resemble a pointer. Okay? So imagine that. The tail of the great bear moving around the celestial North Pole. Our ancestor says, well, the tail looks like a pointer, like the hand of a clock, a time teller, clock, time. The minute hand is the tail of the great bear. Quote unquote, typhoon in the north, and Soot, S-U-T, that's her firstborn son, right? Meaning that the first thing that was created that was primarily or predominantly masculine mental energy or masculine hermetic energy, okay? So typhoon in the north, this is the tail of the great bear, and Soot, S-U-T, in the south were like, listen y'all, were likened to the two hands of a clock. Soot is the hour hand. Let's continue. The bear being the pointer hand, and Soot the dog star, the hour hand. There we have clock of destiny. Okay, so circle 7, a circle 7 in the north celestial pole region, and from the north pole to the south pole, the clock of destiny. Why the clock of destiny? Because everything is written in the stars. This is why all prophecy is astrology. Do y'all understand now? All prophecy is astrology. Clock of destiny, circle 7. This is the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Just science and do no harm. Okay? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You look in the Exodus chapter 20. You look there, you look at those commandments, you can reduce them all down to do no harm. Right? To do no harm. So love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice is equivalent to don't harm anyone and don't injure anyone. Okay, y'all? All right. So let me see if I can find the Garden of Eden, its location in the north. And then we can move on. So now remember, the Solarites hid circle 7 and the clock of destiny. They hid nature and natural law. Do no harm, don't injure anyone. They hid it from the masses. They hid this mindset and replaced it with dogmatic religious doctrine. Okay, y'all? What page is that? That's page 21. So I'm looking now for the Garden of Eden being in the North Celestial Pole region. All right. So the Garden of Eden is Mount Meru. Mount Meru, of course, M-E-R-U. Vowels are interchangeable. That's Mount Moro. Moors. And by the way, y'all, the House of Yasharallah, commonly known as Israelites today, they have their origin in the Great Bear. They originate from the Great Bear. As you'll remember if you have read this book or if you've been following my classes. So page 22. Okay. So the two northern constellations of the bears, called the primal pair, became humanized as the parents of our race and were placed in the Garden of Eden, called the Mount. Okay, in which stood a tree or a pole. So now you'll find this story remixed in the Garden of Eden, the tree of life, right? So you'll find it astrologically, the pole being the solstitial line, stretching from the north celestial pole to the south celestial pole. Okay, we're still dealing with circle 7 and clock of destiny. Okay? Do y'all see it? And the mount is Mount Meru. So I'm gonna take you to that in a second.
Cái điểm đi theo chính sáng là không đủ.
So the fall was when, I think I read this already. The fall was when the fall was introduced when the earlier stars as timekeepers, he's talking about clock of destiny, right? Soot and the tail of the great bear were found not to be keeping time, correct time. All right. In other words, this is a very polite way of saying that the Solarites decided to try to take over the world and destroy our mindset. Make it so that although we have eyes to see, we cannot perceive, ears to hear, we cannot understand, never understand. This is what they did. That's a very polite way of doing that, what I just said, what I just read, rather. Give me 1 second. Oh, wow. I want to share this with y'all. The next paragraph on page 23. The ancient traditions and allegories of the Egyptians and the Chaldeans, with their rootage, with their origin in the far past. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? The ancient traditions and allegories of the Egyptians and Chaldeans, with their rootage, with their origin in the far past. In other words, they were remixed from the celestial ship of the north. Okay? Were continued by the Gnostics. They identified, listen y'all, they identified the 7 stars of the Great Bear. This is the celestial ship of the north, by name and nature. Listen to this. As the 7 demons. Who did it? Who did it? The Egyptians and the Chaldeans, the Solarites. Look at it yourself. Now we have to accept the information for what it is, y'all. No matter how much you might adore ancient Kemet. I'm talking about from Menes forward. I'm talking about from 4,500 BCE forward. They were not on our side. They brought about our demise. Okay, y'all? They are enemies. They are hybrids. I'm talking about the pharaohs, not all the people. I'm talking about the pharaohs. If you can't accept that, look at what Pharaoh and Joseph did to the people. Okay, y'all? Do you see it? Do you see it? They identified the early 7 stars of the Great Bear by name and nature. So each of the stars has a name. The second from the tail is Mitzar, which becomes Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Listen, y'all. They identified them by name and nature as the 7 demons. As 7 demons. This is why you hear the hybrid when one of the policy enforcers, they'll say, oh, I looked at him and he looked like a demon and I shot him. I was afraid for my life. That's not a new story. Now, again, we originate from the Great Bear that they're talking about. And they call the Great Bear, which is the source of all movement, which is the source of time, which is the source of life. the autochthonous Moors, or the House of Yasharala, however you want to say it, it's the same. They called the autochthonous men and women demons. All right? In other words, they disgrace us. Who always oppose, these 7 demons, who always oppose and resist the human race. So our ancestors always opposed and resisted the Han Uman, the half man, half monkey. The Han Uman, Hanuman, who is non-descendable, who cannot inherit land, who has no rights, no birthrights. Y'all understand? This is the story of Esau, Jacob and Esau, in the Biblio-Heliotext. Does everyone see it? Human is a contracted spelling or contracted form of Hanuman. H-A-N, delete the A-N, it becomes H-U-M-A-N. Look it up in the Law Dictionary, you will see that it says monster. The definition of a human is a monster who is non-descendable, cannot inherit land. Even if the woman was married to the father, it cannot inherit land. Okay? So let's continue. And that makes total sense, right? Because why? Because it's not sprung from the soil. It's not autochthonous. It's the product of genetic engineering experimentation, okay? And y'all get more of that in Clock of Destiny, Volume 1 and 2. So let's continue. He gives a reason. He says, because, see, remember, as the 7 demons who always opposed and resisted, they said our ancestors treated them very badly, right? Put them to work like animals, because they claimed the father of the 7, listen y'all, the father of the 7, here you know is already BS, because the 7 did not have a father. Y'all hear me? The 7, we're talking about celestial things. There is no father. Okay? In fact, Soot, S-U-T, Soot becomes the father celestially. Let me rephrase that. Soot does not become the father celestially. Soot is the first entity created that's predominantly masculine. Fatherhood had no dominant role in these stories until the Solarites came to power. All right? Until the Solarites came to power. Clear? YHWH, Jehovah, is a remix of the Great Mother. Of the Great Mother Typhoon. Okay, y'all? So anyway, let's keep it going. So we already know that they've added to the story, the father of the 7 had been cast down to a lower world. Y'all hear that? Well, who cast the father down? Not meaning the earth. Well, where is this lower world? This was portrayed in the Bible as the fall of Adam. The mortal man on earth, the fall of Adam, but its origin was purely astronomical. Let me show y'all this again. I hope no one gets angry at me thinking that I'm giving out opinions, because I'm not. I'm doing, as they say, putting 2 and 2 together. All right. I'm using my analytical and critical thinking faculty of the mind. All right, y'all. So, give me 1 second. This is another important point. Look at the paragraph. Hold on. Well, y'all should read the next paragraph. Error and darkness had their beginning together. It is said in the Apocrypha, quote unquote, their beginning was with sinners. The true doctrine, this is what I want to focus on. The true doctrine of the fall is really the fall of man, right? In religion. And astrotheology, this would be the fall or the decreasing elevation of the sun that occurs somewhere around June 25th. The sun stops moving northerly and starts to fall southerly. Okay, that's the remix. Okay, so the doctrine of the fall belongs to the hidden wisdom. Hidden means occult. Known only, this is the point, known only to teachers who have kept its meaning unsullied. They ain't shared it with you. Okay? Why? Because you're said to be dirty and disgusting. Why? Why are you said to be dirty and disgusting? Because you've been given religious doctrine, dogmatic religious doctrine, and you can't see that it's not real. You don't understand that these religions are not real, so therefore you are dirty and disgusting. Okay? So why would I give this knowledge to you and you're filthy? You have intelligence, but you ain't even trying to use it. Y'all get it? This is the mindset. And so they hid it from us. Samuel Ponce writes, Que pasa, amigo? Que pasa, amigo? Islam, Shalawama. Assalamu alaikum. I, self, law, and master. All right, y'all. Good to see you. Does everyone see what happened? This knowledge is hidden. So what's the fall? What's the fall after? Or what does the astrotheological fall trace back to? The solar astrotheological fall, which is the sun stopping its northerly movement at the summer solstice, and it begins to fall, to move southerly. Its elevation decreases, it falls. What does that trace back to? What traces back to the circumpolar zodiac, with the fall of the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is the hiding of Circle 7 and Clock of Destiny, hiding of the Great Mother Typhoon, the Great Bear, hiding the origin of movement, time, and life, and importantly, natural law, do no harm, don't injure anyone. Everyone see it? Samuel Ponce writes, Malika Salam, spiritual brother. Okay. So let's keep it going, y'all. Let's keep it going. So remember, this is hidden. So if you are having a negative reaction to it, it's because this is new to you. Okay? You might be undergoing cognitive dissonance. Okay? But just hang in there. Hang in there. Now listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. The next paragraph. Quote unquote. The divine Mander, it is said, quote unquote, this is the mystery that to this day is hidden. Listen. And kept secret. For nature being mingled with man. For nature, being mingled with man, brought forth a wonder most wonderful. Man is nature. Brought forth a wonder most wonderful. Then there's a semicolon. So let's see what this is explaining. For man having the nature, listen, for man having the nature of the harmony of the seven. Did you see that? The nature of the harmony of the seven. Of course, the seven stars that make up the Great Bear. The origin of all movement, of time and life. Harmony. Okay, what's the relationship between rhythm and harmony? Rhythm and harmony. So is this touching on the Hermetic law of rhythm, y'all? Having the nature of the harmony of the seven. From him, from man, whom I told thee, the fire and the spirit. Spirit is essence of life. Fire, well, fire is referred to as what, y'all? The sun. The S-U-N sun is referred to as a fire. Amongst other things, fire represents other things too. But y'all see the point? Spirit is the essence of something. So for example, if you have a Snickers bar, if you take out the chocolate, you no longer have a Snickers bar. Okay? If you have a chocolate bar or chocolate candy, you take away the chocolate, it's no longer chocolate candy. It's no longer a Snickers bar, a chocolate bar. Okay, y'all? It's the essence of life, which is consciousness. Okay? Which is consciousness, which is mentalism, the Hermetic law of mentalism. So, from man whom I told you, the fire and the spirit, nature continued not. How can that be, y'all? How can nature stop? But forthwith brought forth 7 men, all males and females, and sublime, or on high, according to the natures of the 7 governors. Y'all, does Bay mean governor? And these were the 7 that finally became planetary. So I often wonder, were there planets before this? These were the 7 that became planetary, the 7 planets. The 7 stars that make up the Great Bear remixed into 7 planets. Or are there really 7 planets? but primarily were the 7 stars of the constellation of the Great Bear. Let me show y'all this. This paragraph here. So y'all can read that. Hold on. Paragraph here where I'm pointing at. Everybody see? Here. Here. Okay. Does everyone see it? This is where we come from. Samuel Ponce writes, see, I don't know too much about astrology, but I know it affects the energy, vibrations, and frequencies. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I have so much content on astrotheology, Samuel Ponce, so you can learn a lot. The link to some of the books are in the description area of the video. But I have thousands of hours of videos like I'm doing now. I never come on and I just talk. I always come on and I read from a book or books to show and prove. Okay, but not so much to show and prove, but to educate. Okay, consciousness and the subconscious mind are even more powerful. It's the data center. Hold all information. Holds. Absolutely. Absolutely. Consciousness is the first Hermetic law, which is mentalism, and the other Hermetic laws emanate from mentalism, okay, or the Hermetic law of mind. Okay. So let me continue. So y'all, that was page 23 that we were just dealing with. Do y'all see where it says, I just want to emphasize this. It says, brought forth seven men, all males and females, and sublime or on high. We're talking about Elohim, according to the nature of the 7 governors. Okay. All right. So give me 1 second. I'm still looking for the Garden of Eden. If I don't find it quickly, I'll just continue with Okay, so page 26. Tradition also claims that Ethiopia was the home of the Egyptians, that the founders of Egypt came from Meru, M-E-R-U. The founders of Egypt came from Meru, a word which signifies the inhabitants of the quote-unquote mount at the north. This is page 27. Okay? The Egyptians came from Meru, which signifies the inhabitants of the quote-unquote mount at the north. Quote, the birthplace. So the Egyptians come from Meru. Meru is the mount at the north. The mount at the north is the birthplace. The mount at the north is the outlet. The outlet as in the womb. The gyneamatrix, okay? Baby coming out. Nobody can stop it. All right? In Hebrew writing, Zaba, Z-A-B-A, land of the Zabians, Ethiopia and Cush, are names of the same country. All right, y'all? So Ethiopia and Cush is another name for Meru, or Mount of the North. Okay? The quote-unquote Egypt beyond Egypt, Zaba, the firstborn son of Cush, is mentioned with Cush and Mitzrayim. The inhabitants of Meru, M-E-R-U, were the Zabians from the wilderness, end quote. It is to be remembered that there is a wilderness above in the heavens, right, y'all? If you look in the stars and you don't know how to find the constellations and interpret the stars are said to be a wilderness. So this is a celestial wilderness, as well as a wilderness below on earth. So as above, so below, as below, so above, the Hermetic Law of Correspondence. Samuel writes, I want to be able to access it. So you can just go search this YouTube channel, and you'll see tons and tons of videos. Yes, I meditate. I meditate. So let's continue, y'all. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So this is for the Hebrew Israelites who may take offense at Egypt and Cush and other information like that. You know, the Israelites are Egyptian. So next paragraph. The name Cam means, quote unquote, to create, and also, quote unquote, black. That would be Negro, right, y'all? Hence, Cam signifies the home of the black or Negro race, the Ethiopians. So let's not get stuck on terms, okay? Mythologically, this race, the black race, the Negroes, according to the author. And by the way, do y'all know that the people in India, Hindustan, do y'all know they were called Negroes and blacks? Before this Asian stuff, you go back and you look at very old documents, you will see that they are called Negroes and blacks. And if you ever have a chance to go to India, you will see why. You will see why. Okay? So let's not get stuck on modern political constructs and terms that are designed to divide and conquer. Okay, y'all? So he continues, mythologically, this race, the blacks, the Negroes, or let's just call it for what it is, the autochthonous Moors came from Kephesh. Oh, here we are. The constellation in the northern heavens called, quote unquote, the thigh. This is the thigh of the bear, y'all. Signifying Typhoon, mother of the human race, mother of the Moors. To the people who look to the north, and here's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. The author tells us right here. To the people who look to the north as the ideal place for primitive parentage and birthplace of the world. The author just told us the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. The people who look to the north. Okay, so if you're looking to the sun sun, that's not the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Okay, regardless of what information our contemporary, our elders have told us, that's what was available during their time, right? Now we're able to see that our ancestors looked to the north, the celestial ship of the north, the great mother Typhoon, the great bear, the thigh. This paragraph here. Hold on. Do y'all see it? The people who looked to the north. For what, y'all? What they look to the north for? What did they look to the north for? The ideal place for primitive parentage. What is primitive parentage? Well, what's a parent? Okay, so this is what? Big Mama. This is the matriarchy. Do y'all see it? As below, as above, is the celestial ship of the north, the great mother Typhoon, the great bear, the thigh. Okay, y'all? It's the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. The people who looked to the north as the ideal place for primitive parentage and birthplace of the world. They did not look to the sun sun. That's the point. They did not look to the sun. The sun sun. No. It's page 27. You know, it's so sad that we don't have more people watching this to get this information. But they shadow ban this channel quite severely. Okay, so everyone can see it's not something that I, Dr. Yasapa, have made up. I'm giving it to you as it TI is. I need to make a note on, so if I need to find this again, I can find it quickly. You know, I came in here, I ordered something, and they gave me some, actually I ordered some ice cream. I have this, I hope I don't get sick, but I realized that they gave me ice cream that they had refrozen. And I have this I don't know what you call it. I'm gonna have to take an antibiotic or something. I won't order that again. I'm a little bit pissed off. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second, y'all. One minute. I'm gonna draw a line. Should I do it like that? I got so many notes here. I'm just gonna draw a line right through all of this. I want to be able to come back to that quickly in case I ever have to. So y'all can look at my margin notes if you want. If you want to know how I can find all this information so quickly, one is repetition, but two is the margin notes, right? So I can just look at my margin notes. You see how I circle and underline that information in the text. Sometimes it has meaning. Other times I'm circling and underlining because I'm embedding it into my memory. Okay, when I circle and underline, I'm memorizing. Okay. Anyway, so if you want to study this on your own, go to page 27. All right. Second paragraph on the page. That'll show you the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. They did not look to the sun. That's the point. They did not look to the sun sun, and they did not look to the summer solstice or the winter solstice. They did not look to the vernal or spring equinox. They did not look to the fall or autumn equinox. None of that. Okay, that's the point. They didn't look to any of that. They looked to the Great Mother Typhoon. All right, y'all? All right. Man, it's hard to go through this and not cover. Let me cover this, y'all. Semitic origins show etymologically. This is why etymology is so important. Semitic, S-E-M-I-T-I-C, origins show etymologically that Kemetic, K-A-M, that's Kamite, right? Egypt. Etymologically show their Kemetic derivation, their origin. Okay, its origin rather. The letter K of Cam was transformed into the letter S of Sam. The K of Kamite, was transformed into the letter S of Sam, as in Semite, y'all, which was the root of the word Semite. So Sam is the root of the word Semite, according to this author. The Semites, but remember, vowels are interchangeable. The Semites were known later as the Sumerians. So the Sumerians were Kemetic. But through the power of the magic wand, the Hollywood, right? Through the power of the magic wand, the Hollywood, they changed the letter, and then they changed your whole concept. They came up with a whole history through the power of the pen, right? That magic wand, Hollywood. And came up with a whole new people, Semites, who ain't nothing but Kemites, right? The Sumerians followed the Kemites when the race of Cam left its primitive or nomadic habitat. Y'all see all this remixing doing that's going on? The earliest quote unquote wise men were known to have come from the south, not from the east. Why the south? Well, wisdom, principles. The southern celestial pole region, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which reduces down to do no harm. Don't injure anyone. All right? And to have formulated the language of the early settlers or squatters when they settled in Sumer on their journey northward. Both Cam and Sam, remember Sam is the root of Semite, according to this author, signify quote unquote black. And by black, they mean the autochthonous Moors. Black is not a people. There's no such thing as a race of people. The Semites, race is a political construct. The Semites were Kamites in a later phase of development. So they just remixed it. Who did it? The Solarites. They just remixed it. Okay, they came to power and they started changing all the historical records. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to buy an antibiotic. I can feel it in my throat. If I don't find it now, I'll find it. When I find it, I'll show you. Oh, here we are. I think this is it. Let me, hold on. I want to read this on page 30. The constellation of the Thigh which we know as the Great Bear, was the primordial birthplace in the north. That's the North Celestial Pole that C.M. Bay talked about in Volume 2 of Clock of Destiny, page 38. The oldest known mythological and type of the ancient mother typhoon has become historical. The star Mizar, that's the second star in the handle of the Great Bear, which today is the Big Dipper, which can be seen in the tail of the Great Bear. So the tail, so the handle of the Big Dipper is now called the tail. So this is the pointer. The handle is the pointer that we read about earlier, which is the minute hand of the Clock of Destiny. Okay, y'all? Had been definitely identified as the Mitzrayim of celestial Egypt, as above, so below, as below, so above, before it was given a name to the land of Egypt in Africa. My point of view is that the Africa they're talking about is America, right? The Africa they are talking about is America. Thus, Mitzar, Mitzrayim, Mazzaroth, and Mesru are the witnesses above. There we have it, Deuteronomy 30. Okay, when Moses said that he caused the heavens as a witness against the people, that he told you to follow the Most High's commandments. Right, y'all? So there we have it. These are the witnesses. Mitzar, Mitzrayim, Mazzaroth, Mesru, the witnesses above. There is a fragment of ancient lore given in the Hebrew scriptures which asserts that the line of Mitzrayim comes from Ham or Can, joined with Cush. Thus Mitzrayim is the son of Ham, who is Cam, of the black race, okay, of the autochthonous Moors, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. The black race, the autochthonous Moors, was the first on earth, just as it was in prototype in the heavens. So what are they saying? As above, so below. So whatever happens, y'all, happens where? It happens celestially first, and then it manifests on earth. This is why all prophecy is what? Celestial, astrological. Okay, y'all? As above, later, so below. Okay, y'all? Mazzaroth in its Sabian origin meant the stars, the quote-unquote fires of heaven. Mazzaroth, of course, was remixed into the belt around which the 12 zodiac signs, or the 12 zodiac constellations rotate, are situated. That old path, right? Okay, y'all? While Mesru is the equivalent of the Hebrew word Mitzar, plural, Mitzrayim. Mest, M-E-S-T, is the birthplace, and Ru, the door, gate, mouth, or opening. Thus, Metz, which is birthplace, Ru, which is outlet. Okay? Thus, Ru, or Metz Ru, is the outlet from the birthplace. The birthplace is the Great Bear. Okay? And then the outlet, the Gyna matrix, y'all, that's what's being talked about. Found in the constellation of the Great Bear, quote-unquote, the thigh. And called the quote-unquote matrix, which is womb, the matrix of the world. Do you know who you are now? Do you know who you are now? Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, autochthonous Moors. Okay? Not about color or this whole race game. It's about being autochthonous, sprung from the soil, or hybrid, period. Okay? Anyway, I want to try to find, that paragraph was about that. That's what I'm talking about. I still want to find the Garden of Eden. We'll come back to the garden. Hey, are you about to close? I think they're about to close. So I'm going to have to come back and find the Garden of Eden to show you specifically where it said that it's located in the north. But I think what I've shown is enough anyway. Because the Garden of Eden, well, what I've already shown, I think that's also enough on that topic, right? To show that it is, in fact, in the North Celestial Pole. It's actually Mount Meru. Okay. So y'all keep in mind that the Great Bear, hopefully I'll be able to show it if I remember in the next class, but I've already shown it in other classes, that the Great Bear is the mother, which would be Eve. Adam would be the lesser bear. Okay, y'all? The lesser bear, I'm talking about, see, as above, so below. So first, the Great Bear, the Great Mother Typhoon, later becomes Eve. Adam, the lesser bear, later, the lesser bear later becomes Adam. Okay? And then the Garden of Eden is the northern celestial pole region. Okay? And the Garden of Eden later, as above, so below on earth, becomes the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve are formed. Do y'all see it? Okay, so this is why it's an established fact in law. It's an established principle of law that land and law are inseparable, and that land is the substance and subject matter of the law. Therefore, it is an established principle in law that Moors, land means more, look it up in the law dictionary, that Moors are the substance, as it is an established fact in law that Moors and law are inseparable. See, it's an equivalent statement. Moors and law are inseparable. Therefore, Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. Now you understand why that is. Okay? Islam to all the Moors. Assalamu alaikum. I, self, law, and master. Shalawama. I'll be back, y'all.